Hello dear students, this is Ikhlaq Sir Physics. So my dear students, we are done with the first law of motion, we are done with the second law of motion, okay, and we are doing examples on the second law of motion, Newton's second law of motion, ठीक है बेटा, okay. तो कल हमने जो क्वेश्चंस किए थे वो थे they were based on the graphs, okay. So we are done with this, with the first law, with the second law of motion, ठीक है ना, with this equation, okay. So we have done some questions on the slope, तो slope पे हमने questions किए हैं बेटा. आज हम questions करने जा रहे हैं on the graphs, okay, on the area of the graphs, all right, and that's like this. On this very equation we'll do the questions, okay. While impulse that's equal to वो किसके बराबर होता है, change in momentum which is equal to integration of force with respect to time, ठीक है बेटा. फिर आपको पता होगा that integration of any curve gives of any function gives area under the curve, okay. Now the area that's above the time axis will be taken as positive and the area that is below the time axis will be always taken as negative, okay. So let's do some questions on this. तो देख लो बेटा, this is our example number first. Example number first is this: force versus time graph is given to you and we are supposed to calculate what? Number one, we have to calculate the change in momentum or the impulse, and from there we can calculate the average force, okay. So this is simply a triangular area. आप देख लो, this is a triangular area, okay, and we are supposed to calculate this area. So let's calculate this area. Let's try to calculate the area. तो कैसे calculate करेंगे बेटा area? Simply this delta p जो है बेटा, और that's equal to impulse, that's equal to area of the triangle. Simple, area of triangle, ठीक. अब आपको पता होना चाहिए that what's the area of triangle, होता किसके बराबर है वो, that is 1/2 base into height, ठीक है बेटा. So let's do it. So it's equal to 1/2 base multiplied by height, base multiplied by height, ठीक है. अब आप इस क्वेश्चन पे देख लो बेटा, what's the value of this base that's equal to 4, isn't it? And what about this height? That's equal to 10. So base is equal to 4 and height किसके बराबर है बेटा? That's equal to 10. Put the value. So it's like this: 1 divided by 2. बोलो बेटा base किसके बराबर है? That is 4 multiplied by 10. 4 into 10 is 40. 40 divided by 2 is 20. तो इसका जो आंसर आएगा बेटा, that will be equal to 20 kilogram meter per second. This is delta p or this is impulse. One and the same thing. ठीक है बेटा, okay. Simple सा क्वेश्चन था बेटा. Next we have to calculate the average force. So can we calculate average force? Yes, indeed we can calculate average force. Okay, तो देख लो बेटा average force, how we can calculate that. Average force किसके बराबर होता है? It's equal to delta p divided by what? Divided by delta t. ठीक है बेटा, this average force. Delta p we have calculated. What is that? That's equal to 20 divided by, what about delta t? That's equal to 4. So 20 divided by 4 comes out to be 5 Newton. Okay, so the force here that's equal to the average force. Average force इसका जो होगा that will be equal to what? That will be equal to 5 Newton. Okay, तो simple सा question था. This is force versus time graph was given to you and we were supposed to calculate the change in momentum or the impulse, and from there we can easily calculate the average force. All right, so we are done with this example number first. Let's have a look at the example number second. Okay, so again the question is same. Again what you are supposed to calculate is this. What we have to calculate is this. Let me write it here. Calculate A part, that is delta p or impulse, and B part that you are supposed to calculate the average force in the time interval between what? T equal to 0 and T equal to 6 seconds in this time interval. Okay, ठीक है बेटा. अब आप इस डायग्राम की तरफ देख लो बेटा. This is here A B C D, A B C D, ठीक है बेटा. अब ये फिगर क्या है बेटा? इट इज सिंपली अ ट्रेपीजियम. व्हाट्स इट? ट्रेपीजियम. अब आपको पता होना चाहिए एरिया ऑफ ट्रेपीजियम होता किसके बराबर है? दैट इज इक्वल, एरिया ऑफ ट्रेपीजियम इज इक्वल टू 1/2 सम ऑफ पैरेलल साइड्स मल्टीप्लाइड बाय द परपेंडिकुलर डिस्टेंस, ठीक है बेटा. सो सिंपल, इट्स लाइक दिस. So A parts that we have to calculate delta p or the impulse, we can easily calculate it. What's it? It's equal to area of trapezium. Area of trapezium, ठीक है बेटा. So can we calculate area of trapezium? Yes, of course we can calculate. 1/2 into what? Sum of parallel sides. Let me write it here. Sum of parallel sides multiplied by height. Okay. Now what's the parallel side? One parallel side is this, which is equal to 6. दूसरा parallel side ये वाला है बेटा, that's equal to 4 minus 2, that's equal to 2. Okay. And the height, the perpendicular distance between the parallel sides is this, and what's that equal? That's equal to 20. Okay. So let's put the values here. So it's equal to, ये किसके बराबर आएगा बेटा? 1/2. सही है. सम ऑफ पैरेलल साइड, बोलो बेटा एक पैरेलल साइड कितना है? That's equal to 6. दूसरा पैरेलल साइड, what's that? That's equal to 2. What about height? That's equal to 20, isn't it? So it will be equal to, this is equal to 1/2. 6 plus 2 is equal to 8. and this is 20. ठीक है बेटा. Now it's simply like this, 2 1s are 2, 2 10s are 20 and 10 8s are 80. तो ये आएगा बेटा 80. So the momentum, change in momentum comes out to be 80 kilogram meter per second or impulse. It's one and the same thing. Impulse is equal to change in momentum. Okay, तो easy सा question था. So easily we have done this question. And next आपको calculate क्या करना है? We have to calculate average force. Okay, so how to calculate average force? Average force will be simply equal to delta P divided by what? Delta T. What is delta P? That is equal to 80. And what about delta T? That is equal to 6. 80 by 6 is equal to 40 divided by 3 or it is equal to 13.3 Newton. तो ये निकला इसका आंसर. ठीक है बेटा. अगेन इजी क्वेश्चन. द डिफरेंस वाज ओनली दैट यहाँ पे जो एरिया था वो नहीं था ट्रायंगल, दैट वाज ट्रेपीजियम. दैट इज द ट्रेपीजियम. Okay, so we had done the question number 1, we had done the question number 2. Let's see question number 3. There's a bit of variation in the question number 3. तो देख लो बेटा, ये वाला क्वेश्चन है. ठीक है बेटा. So again, what's the question? The question is exactly same. That is, calculate A part delta P or impulse and B part the average force. In what time interval? Between t equal to 0 and t equal to 10 seconds. Clear बेटा? अब आप देख लो. Now have a look at this. There are two areas. One is the area of trapezium. One is this trapezium. जो ये वाला एरिया है बेटा, this is trapezium. This is trapezium. All right? ठीक है बेटा. और जो ये वाला एरिया है, for example this area, जो ये वाला एरिया है बेटा, this is triangle. This is triangle. Okay? Now what we do is this. Concentrate here. What we do is this. This area is for example A1 and this area is A2. ठीक है बेटा. एंड व्हाट वी हैव टू कैलकुलेट, हमें निकालना क्या बेटा? वी हैव टू कैलकुलेट डेल्टा पी. अब डेल्टा पी किसके बराबर होता है? यू नो दैट इज इक्वल टू द एरिया अंडर द फोर्स वर्सेस टाइम करो. लेकिन यहाँ पे देयर इज सम एरिया विच इज अबव द टाइम एक्सिस, देन देयर इज सम एरिया विच इज बिलो द टाइम एक्सिस. बाय कन्वेंशन टेक दैट एरिया पॉजिटिव विच इज अबव द टाइम एक्सिस एंड टेक दैट एरिया नेगेटिव विच इज बिलो द टाइम एक्सिस. तो इसका मतलब ये है, अगर आपको डेल्टा पी निकालना है या आपको इम्पल्स निकालना है, that will be simply equal to A1 minus A2. Okay, simply because A2 is below the time axis and A1 is above the time axis. So one by one, first of all I will calculate A1, then I will calculate A2. तो A1 किसके बराबर होगा बेटा? Okay, that's equal to 1 by 2 sum of parallel sides. Now one parallel side is this which is 6, दूसरा parallel side ये है which is 2, height is this which is equal to 10. So that's equal to 2 plus 6 multiplied by 10. सही है बेटा. 2 plus 6 is equal to 8. 8 10s are 80. 80 divided by 2 is equal to 40. So this comes out to be 40. All right. ठीक है बेटा. So simply it's equal to 1 by 2. This is parallel side 2. This parallel side is equal to 6 multiplied by 10. Then calculate A2. A2 it is the triangle. Okay. तो area of triangle किसके बराबर होता है? 1 by 2 base into height. Now what is the value of base and what is the value of height? वो आप देख लो बेटा. This is 10, this is 6, so this will be from here to here. This will be equal to what? It will be equal to 4, isn't it? And the height here, the magnitude, that's equal to 10. So here I will write down 4 into 10. 4 10s are 40 divided by 2, that's equal to 20. So this comes out to be 20. Okay, so easily we can calculate the value of A1 and we can calculate the value of A2. These are just basic examples. So I want to calculate delta P. How I can calculate delta P? That is A1 minus A2. अब बोलो बेटा आप A1 किसके बराबर है? That is equal to 40 minus 20. 40 minus 20 is equal to what? That's equal to 20. Kilogram meter per second will be the unit. Kilogram meter per second. So this is change in momentum. ठीक है बेटा. सिंपल सा तरीका है, इसमें कोई रॉकेट साइंस नहीं है. It's just basic. First of all, what I have done is that I have calculated the area of the trapezium. फिर उसके बाद मैंने क्या निकाला बेटा? एरिया ऑफ ट्राइंगल. जस्ट सबट्रैक्ट द टू बिकॉज दिस एरिया इज बिलो द टाइम एक्सिस. यू विल गेट डेल्टा पी इक्वल टू 20 किलोग्राम मीटर पर सेकेंड. नेक्स्ट इज दैट यू वांट कैलकुलेट एवरेज फोर्स. तो इजी है बेटा, आराम से आप निकाल सकते हो. किसके बराबर? डेल्टा पी डिवाइडेड बाई डेल्टा टी. व्हाट इज दिस डेल्टा पी इक्वल टू? दैट इज इक्वल टू 20. डेल्टा टी किसके बराबर है बेटा? दैट इज इक्वल टू 10. 20 by 10 is equal to 2 Newton. Okay, so easily we have done the question number 1, the question number 2 and the example number 3. Okay, so they are based on the concept that if you have force versus t curve or graph, the area under the force versus time graph will give the impulse or the change in momentum. Once you are done with the change in momentum, divide that by the time interval, you will get the average force as well. Okay beta, next देख लो बेटा, next question जो है that's a PYQ. So this has been asked in the NEET 2015, which was then AIPMT. Okay, again question is same. Question is again same. Calculate A per delta P, but you were supposed to calculate delta P only. Let me calculate the average force as well. In the same time interval between what? T equal to 0 and T equal to 8 seconds. Okay beta. Now have a look at this problem. अगर आप इस ग्राफ को देखोगे, there are 3 different areas. कितने areas हैं बेटा? 3 different areas. Number 1 is this triangle. Number 2 is this rectangle. Number 3 is this rectangle. Okay. Now have a clear look on this. जो ये A1 और A3 हैं, these 2 areas are above the time axis, isn't it? They are above the time axis, and this area is below the time axis. सही है बेटा? So easily what we can do is that we calculate A1, let's calculate A2, and let's calculate A3. Then the total area will be equal to A1 plus A3 minus A2, or A1 minus A2 plus A3. ठीक है बेटा? So one by one I am going to do what? I am going to calculate the A1. Let me calculate A1. So what's that? 1 by 2 base into height. Okay, so in this triangle, what's the value of the base? That is 2. What's height? 20. So 2 multiplied by 20. 2 and 2 will cancel, so it comes out to be 20. Let me calculate the value of A2. A2, it's a rectangular area. From here to here, this is equal to 2. 4 minus 2. This is equal to 10. So 2 into 10 किसके बराबर है बेटा? That's equal to 20. 2 into 10, length into breadth, which is equal to 20. Then calculate the value of A3. Again, it is length into breadth. From here to here, it's equal to 4. सही है बेटा? This is equal to 10, तो इसका मतलब this is equal to 10. So it will be 4 multiplied by 10. 4 multiplied by 10 किसके बराबर है बेटा? That's equal to 40. सही है? So we calculated the value of A1, A2 and A3. Let us calculate the total area or the delta P. जो delta P होगा, that will be equal to take that area positive, which is above the time axis, and that area negative, which is below the time axis. तो किसके बराबर आएगा बेटा ये? It will be equal to A1 minus A2 plus A3. सही है बेटा? तो देख लो बेटा, concentrate here, concentrate. बोलो बेटा A1 किसके बराबर है? That's equal to 20. What about A2? That's equal to 20. What about A3? That's equal to 40. This and this is going to cancel. तो delta P क्या निकला बेटा? That's equal to 40 kilogram meter per second. सही है बेटा? What is that equal to? 40 kilogram per meter per second. So this is the change in momentum, or this is equal to impulse. Now next is that you want to calculate the average force. How to calculate average force? ये equation आप use कर लो बेटा, तो आराम से आप average force निकाल सकते हो. That's equal delta P divided by delta T. What is delta P equal to? That is 40 divided by delta T. आप देख लो बेटा, from 0 to 8. So that's 8 minus 0, which is equal to 8. 40 divided by 8 comes out to be 5 Newton. Clear हो गया बेटा? So simple force versus time graph was given to you, and you were supposed to calculate first delta P and then the average force. तो delta P हमने कैसे निकाला? Area under the force versus time graph will give the change in momentum or the impulse. Now there are 3 areas, A1, A2 and A3. Out of the 3, 2 areas are above the time axis, which we take positive. 1 area is below the time axis, which we take negative. So A1 हमने calculate किया, A2 calculate किया, and then A3. Then like this, A1 minus A2 plus. So easily we have done this question, which was asked in the NEET. Okay. So we are done with the questions on the graphs. So that means as of now, अगर आपके पास graph होगा momentum versus time, the slope of the momentum versus time graph will give the instantaneous force. And if you have a graph that is force versus time, then area under that will give the change in momentum, or that will give the impulse. Okay, from there you can calculate the average force. ठीक है बेटा? So we are done with this type of question, this variety of question. ठीक? Okay. Next type. Again, this is important. Questions are continuously asked in NEET as well as JEE mains on this type. So easy type है बेटा, that's called as collision type. This is what we call as collision type. Collision type. ठीक है बेटा? तो question है क्या? Simply it's like this. You throw a ball on the wall. The ball will bounce in the backward direction. When it will bounce in the backward direction, so there will be change in momentum. The reason is that momentum is a vector quantity. And when there is change in momentum, obviously there is impulse. And when there is impulse, there is force. And that is what we are supposed to calculate. We have to simply calculate the impulse or For that matter, we are supposed to calculate the change in momentum. It's one and the same thing. Okay, so how we can do the change in momentum? First and foremost, what is this delta p? होता किसके बराबर है ये delta p? It is simply equal to the final momentum p2 minus the initial momentum p1. Alright, ठीक है बेटा. So अगर आपको delta p निकालना है, simply do one thing. Calculate p1, calculate p2 in unit vector notation. Okay, see what's the direction of the initial momentum and see what's the direction of the final momentum. Okay, in the unit vector notation. Once you are done with that, then subtract the two, you will easily get what's delta p. Okay, so देख लो बेटा here. Now here it is. This ball, it moves towards right. Now what's the initial momentum? Initial momentum इसका क्या है? That's equal to m into u. Okay, m into u. What about direction? That's along the positive x direction. आपको एक बात पता होनी चाहिए. That is this. The unit vector along the x-axis like this. Unit vector along the x-axis is I cap. Unit vector along the negative x-axis is minus I cap. Unit vector along y-axis is j cap. Unit vector along negative y-axis is minus j cap. ठीक है बेटा? So this momentum, is it directed towards positive x-axis or negative x-axis? Obviously it is directed towards positive x-axis. तो यहाँ पे क्या लिखेंगे बेटा? I cap. So this is the initial momentum. Is that okay? Simply initial momentum is mass into velocity. It is directed along positive x-axis. अब आप इसका देख लो बेटा, तो mass तो same ही रहेगा. It will bounce in the backward direction with some velocity v. Now it is not necessary that this velocity v will be equal to u. ये u के बराबर हो सकता है, उससे कम भी हो सकता है, depending upon the type of collision. Okay? तो ध्यान रखो बेटा. तो इसका जो final momentum होगा, I will write like this. P2 that's equal to इसका mass क्या है? m. What about velocity v? What is the direction? That's negative x, so minus I cap. Is that clear to you? So we have calculated the initial momentum, we have calculated the final momentum. What we are going to do is simply calculate P2 minus P1. So delta P will be equal to what? It will be equal to P2 के बदले क्या लिखेंगे? Minus mv I cap. What about P1? Minus mu I cap. सही है बेटा? तो इन दो में से कॉमन क्या निकलेगा? Delta P will be equal to minus m multiplied by what? V plus u. Say beta, multiplied by what? That's equal to I cap. So this is the generalized equation for the impulse, or this is the generalized equation for the change in momentum. One and the same thing. Okay. Now simply what you can do is that there are three different parts. Easily what you can do is that you can put the value and get the answer. A part में बोलो बेटा u किसके बराबर है? What is this v equal? That's equal to u. U plus u is twice u. तो delta p किसके बराबर आएगा? That will be equal to minus m into 2u into I cap. That's it. The problem is done. B part देख लो बेटा. Delta p किसके बराबर है? That's equal to final velocity is 0. What does that mean? That means the ball is thrown on the wall. It simply falls down. This collision is said to be perfectly inelastic collision, or get stuck to the wall, So it's like this. देख लो बेटा. So this is minus m. This is 0 plus u. That's equal to u multiplied by I cap. Then C part, देख लो बेटा आप delta p. The ball bounces in the backward direction and there is some loss of kinetic energy. Okay, तो किसके बराबर है final velocity? That's equal to u by 2. So here I will write down u by 2 plus u is 3u by 2. तो आएगा minus m into 3u by 2 multiplied by I cap. That's it. And if for example you are supposed to calculate the average force, that's very easy. Divide this by collision time. The time taken by the ball to collide with the wall is called collision time. Divide this by delta t, this by delta t, this by delta t. Easily you can calculate what's the average force. ठीक है बेटा? So this question is every now and then asked in the NEET as well as JEE mains. Okay? तो इस क्वेश्चन को encircle करके रखो. It's a very very important question. Okay? So this is collision type. Next आप देख लो बेटा this question has been repeatedly asked as well. JEE main 2024, NEET 2016 में ये question आया है बेटा. Okay, and what we are supposed to calculate is this. देखो बेटा इसमें भी क्या निकालना है? Same question is exactly same, but in this very case the ball is thrown at an angle with the wall. It will bounce in the backward direction. It is given that the angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. Both are theta. Okay, what we have to calculate is delta p and impulse and then the average force. तो कैसे निकालेंगे? Exactly same procedure. Calculate initial momentum, calculate final momentum, take the difference of the two. but write down the initial momentum and the final momentum in the vector form. That's all you have to do. ठीक है बेटा, तो देख लो, concentrate here. This is its velocity, that's equal to u. This is the speed after the collision, that's equal to u. First of all, first and foremost, what you will do is this: इस u को resolve कर लो into the rectangular components. ये theta, this angle is theta, alternate angles. This is u, ये component होगा बेटा u cos theta, ये वाला component क्या बनेगा u sin theta. देखो इसमें आपको मैं जुगाड़ दिखाऊंगा, how directly just make a diagram and solve the problem. u cos theta, u sin theta, इसका मतलब यहाँ से जो मोमेंटम होगा mu cos theta, यहाँ से जो मोमेंटम होगा mu sin theta. क्लियर हो गया? देख लो बेटा, इस u को रिजॉल्व कर लेते हैं. लेट्स रिजॉल्व दिस u, द फाइनल वेलोसिटी. दिस एंगल इज थीटा, तो ये एंगल भी थीटा होगा बिकॉज दे आर कॉरस्पॉन्डिंग एंगल्स. अब ये u है तो इसका एक कंपोनेंट यहाँ से होगा, व्हाट विल दैट बी? u cos थीटा. ये वाला कंपोनेंट क्या होगा बेटा? u sin थीटा. You want to calculate momentum, m multiplied to this as well. ठीक है बेटा, अब आपको क्या कैलकुलेट करना है? You will have to calculate the change in momentum. What does that mean? That means the final momentum minus initial momentum. Have a look at this problem. Have a look at this problem. देख लो बेटा, this mu cos theta, mu cos theta, they are opposite, isn't it? They are opposite. Mu sin theta and mu sin theta, they are in the same direction. When mu sin theta are in the same direction, you are going to subtract them. They will cancel. They will become zero. Okay. So this and this, when you subtract them, this and this is going to disappear. Mu sin theta, mu sin theta, ये वहाँ पे नहीं रहेगा. Mu cos theta, they are opposed. And when you subtract them, they will add. Clear or not? Okay. तो इसका मतलब ये है बेटा, डेल्टा p जब हम कैलकुलेट करेंगे या इम्पल्स कैलकुलेट करेंगे, वो आएगा बेटा दिस mu cos theta माइनस mu cos theta, तो आएगा बेटा mu cos theta plus mu cos theta, which is simply equal to twice mu cos theta, which is simply equal to twice mu cos theta. So this is the answer to this problem, twice mu cos theta. With no time you can do it. ठीक है बेटा, फिर से मैं बताऊंगा लॉजिक क्या है. What is the जुगाड़? That is simply like this: u sin theta and u sin theta, they are the same direction, or mu sin theta. When you subtract the momenta, this and this is going to cancel. This and this is going to subtract. This and this, they are opposite, so they will add. So it will be equal to twice mu cos theta. Next is that you have to calculate force, so easily you can calculate the force. Divide this by delta t, twice mu cos theta divided by delta t, which is called as collision time, will be the force exerted by the wall on the ball, or by the ball on the wall. So easily we have done this. Question आया था बेटा NEET 2016 में या JEE में 2024 में. ठीक है बेटा, let's switch to another example. Collision type. This is the last example we have here. Okay, it's a bit of motion under gravity and a pinch of NLM. All right, so देख लो बेटा, concentrate here. First of all, this is point A, this is point B, this is point C. Question को अच्छी तरह से समझो बेटा. The ball is dropped down from the height h. When it is dropped down from height h, it will collide with the ground and then it will bounce in the backward direction. It will bounce in the backward direction. Initial height was given, that's equal to capital H. What is this equal to? It is dropped down from the height capital H. It will strike the ground and then it will bounce in the backward direction. Point number first we'll calculate. Point number first. Calculate क्या करना बेटा आपको? Impulse. So the point number first is that you must know is what will be the striking velocity of this ball. Striking velocity का मतलब क्या है बेटा? What is the velocity with which this ball will strike the ground? Kinematics में आपने पढ़ा होगा. Striking velocity is equal to root 2gh. किसके बराबर है बेटा? अंडर रूट ऑफ 2gh. अगर आपको उसका आइडिया अभी नहीं है, सिंपली व्हाट यू कैन डू इज दिस. सिंपली व्हाट यू कैन डू इज दिस: v स्क्वायर माइनस u स्क्वायर इक्वल टू 2as. When the particle is dropped down, what's the initial velocity of the particle? That's equal to 0. So let me write it like this: v square minus 0 is equal to acceleration due to gravity, that's equal to g. Displacement of the particle from this point to this point is equal to h. So easily with no time you can calculate striking velocity, comes out to be under root of 2gh. Isn't it? So we have calculated striking velocity. ठीक है बेटा. Now have a look at this. Now the ball bounced in the upward direction. Upward direction. Now there are three different parts: A, B, and C. So let's go one by one. Let's do part A. Small h is equal to capital H. ध्यान रखो बेटा. Concentrate here. It is given that when the ball is dropped down from height h, it will collide with the surface. It will bounce back to the actual position. What does that mean? That means the collision was perfectly elastic. Okay, collision was perfectly elastic. What does that mean? That means the velocity of the particle after collision and before collision is exactly same. So this is the situation. This is the situation. This is a ball, initial velocity before collision, that is equal to root 2gh. Final velocity of the ball after collision comes out to be root 2gh. That's exactly same. That's the reason it goes to actual height, which is equal to h. So yeah, beta. Okay, and if you want to calculate delta p, that will be simply equal to m into delta v, isn't it? Mass of the particle will remain same into delta v. Okay, now see what is the final velocity. What is the final velocity? That's equal to root 2gh. So yeah, beta. Okay, what's the initial velocity? That is minus, because it's in downward direction. So minus minus plus banega under root of 2gh. So simply the delta p. What's delta p equal to now? Delta p comes out to be m into twice m into under root of 2gh. The problem is done. And this is equal to impulse. This in turn equal to impulse. ठीक है बेटा, तो सिंपल सा क्वेश्चन था. ठीक है, so this was A part. I'm sure part B and part C you will do that yourself. तो part B में h equal to 0 means that the ball, it will stuck to the ground. When it will stuck to the ground, so what's the V2? That's equal to 0. तो उसमें जो आंसर आएगा वो आएगा m into under root of 2gh. ठीक है बेटा. And part C and part B, they will stay as home assignment for you. I'm sure you can do both these questions. Okay, ठीक है बेटा. So as of now we are done with the Newton's second law of motion. Let me see what we have next. Okay, so this is an important question before Newton's third law of motion. Again, an important question. Okay, let's do this question, and that's the last nail in the coffin of the Newton's second law. Okay, so देख लो आप. So it's like this. देख लो बेटा. This is a plate whose mass is equal to capital M. It's suspended in the air. ठीक है बेटा, suspended in the air. Now a person, what he is doing is that he is firing the bullets from here, firing the bullets in the upward direction. Okay, these bullets, they are striking the plate and then bouncing in the backward direction. ठीक है ना बेटा? Okay, तो क्वेश्चन ये है, calculate the number, but this जो ये bullet, जो ये plate है, it's at rest. It's at rest. It is remaining stationary in the air because of these bullets, because of the force that's exerted by these bullets. अब क्वेश्चन क्या है? क्वेश्चन ये है बेटा, कैलकुलेट द नंबर ऑफ बुलेट्स पर सेकंड और पर यूनिट टाइम सो दैट द प्लेट इज एट रेस्ट. व्हेन द प्लेट इज एट रेस्ट, दैट मीन्स द नेट फोर्स ऑफ द प्लेट मस्ट बी इक्वल टू 0 बिकॉज इट इज इन इक्विलिब्रियम. नेट फोर्स इक्वल टू 0 मीन्स दैट द फोर्स डायरेक्टेड अपवर्ड्स मस्ट बी इक्वल टू फोर्स डायरेक्टेड डाउनवर्ड्स. अब यहाँ पे कौन से दो फोर्सेस हैं? व्हाट आर द टू फोर्सेस? नंबर वन इज दैट वेट ऑफ दिस प्लेट ऑब्वियसली इन द डाउनवर्ड डायरेक्शन, दैट इज mg. Number second is that the force exerted by the bullets on the plate, which is F, and that will be in turn equal to delta P divided by delta T, isn't it? That's equal to delta P divided by delta T. Okay, from there, that's the concept. So from there we can calculate what's the number of bullets fired per second. Okay, so what I will do is this, simply I will do like this. For a bullet, what is delta P equal to? That's simply equal to mv minus mv. तो बनेगा बेटा twice m into v. This is the change in momentum for one bullet. For n number of bullets, it will be simply equal to n into delta p, which will be equal to n multiplied by twice mv, isn't it? Is that clear to you? Okay, now what is the average force exerted by the bullets on the plate? That is change in momentum, which is n into delta p divided by what? Delta t, and that comes out to be n into 2mv divided by delta t. Is that clear to you? Is that clear to you? It's very easy. So first of all, I have calculated change in momentum for one bullet, twice mv. For n number of bullets, multiply by m. Average force, Newton's second law. Next is this. Now the upward force will be equal to what? Downward force. So what does that mean? That means the average force exerted by the bullets on the plate is equal to the weight of the plate. Okay, so we are nearly done with this problem. M divided by delta t. This is what we are supposed to calculate. Multiplied by this 2mv comes out to be m into g. Okay, अब क्वेश्चन फिर से देख लो बेटा. क्वेश्चन ये है, calculate the number of bullets that are fired per unit time. So that means you have to calculate n by delta t. So we are done with the problem. N divided by delta t easily comes out to be what? M into g divided by twice m into v. Okay, where this capital M is what? It is the mass of the plate. And what about this small m? It is the mass of the bullet, and v is the velocity of the bullet. Okay, so easily we have done this question. Okay, ठीक है बेटा. So this was our Newton's second law of motion, and this was the final example in the Newton's second law of motion. Okay, we'll be back to the Newton's second law of motion, even the first law and the third law and second law, once we are done with the basics of the first law, second law and third law. Okay, तो नेक्स्ट टॉपिक जो है बेटा वो है न्यूटन्स थर्ड लॉ ऑफ मोशन. ठीक है बेटा, बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स को पता होता है कि न्यूटन्स थर्ड लॉ ऑफ मोशन तो सबसे इजी है, ठीक है ना, बट देयर आर सम कंफ्यूजन रिलेटेड टू द न्यूटन्स थर्ड लॉ ऑफ मोशन. I'll be focusing on those important points. Okay, तो न्यूटन्स थर्ड लॉ ऑफ मोशन, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल स्टेटमेंट तो आपको पता ही होगा. To every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Now what does that mean? That means point number B. That means forces always exist in pairs. It is never possible a single isolated force can exist. Whenever there is force, for example 10 Newton, there will be another force of 10 Newton in the opposite direction. Okay. Point number C is very important. It's highly important. Okay. तो यहाँ पे confusion आपको हो सकता है बेटा. सर ने बोला to every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Okay, so what does that mean? That means the two forces are equal and opposite, so they can cancel in pairs. So that means a net force is never possible. But in our day-to-day lives, we see that there are net forces acting on the objects, and because of which the objects are accelerating. ठीक है बेटा, तो इसका आंसर ये है बेटा पॉइंट नंबर सी. That is the action and reaction, they never act on the same object. They always act on two different objects. Hence there is a net force on one object and a net force on another object. Okay, तो वही मैंने यहाँ पे लिखा बेटा, A and R always act on two different objects and hence they don't cancel in pairs. I will explain it with the help of an example. पहले आप यहाँ ध्यान रखो, A and R, action and reaction are of same nature. What does that mean? That means if action is gravitational force, reaction will be also gravitational force. It's never possible that action will be gravitational and reaction will be electrostatic. That's not possible. If two forces are equal and opposite, it's not necessary that they form action. Very important point. Very important point. जो आपको confusion होता है बेटा. That is, two forces they are equal and opposite, but they are not action and reaction pair. It's not necessary. Then this is the mathematical statement. Now I will explain this point E, this point D, and this point C with the help of an example. वो आप यहाँ ध्यान रखो. Concentrate here on that example. देख लो बेटा. A simple example, very simple example. Suppose that there are two particles. इस पे चार्ज है बेटा प्लस क्यू, इसका चार्ज है माइनस क्यू. ठीक है बेटा, सिंपल. Okay, they will attract each other. Now the force on this is equal to F1 and the force on this is equal to F2. If this F1 is equal to 10 Newton, this F2 will be definitely equal to 10 Newton. They form action-reaction pair. They act on two different objects. They are of same nature. This is electrostatic, this is electrostatic. Okay? Another example like this. देख लो बेटा. This very crucial example, example number 2. This is a horizontal surface. This is a block placed on the horizontal surface. सही है बेटा? Clear? This block is at rest. अब मैं बोलूँगा आपको why is it at rest? आप बोलोगे सर वहाँ पे दो फोर्स है. कौन कौन सा? नीचे की दिशा में एक फोर्स है बेटा, that's equal to weight. Let's assume it's equal to 100 Newton. कितना है बेटा ये? 100 Newton. In the upward direction there will be another force, that's normal reaction. ये किसके बराबर होगा? 100 Newton. The reason is that block is at rest. Block is at rest. अब मैं स्टूडेंट को हर बार बोल रहा हूँ बेटा, N is 100 Newton, Mg is 100 Newton. वहाँ से वो बोलेगा सर they form action reaction pair. A completely wrong explanation. These don't form action reaction pair. They are equal, they are opposed, but they don't form action reaction pair. Reason number 1, they act on the same object. They act on the same object. Normal reaction is on the block, weight is on the block. They don't form action reaction pair. Number 1. Number 2, they are of different nature. Normal reaction is of one nature and weight is of another nature. They are complete. A normal reaction is a contact force and a weight is a non-contact force. अब बोलोगे सर वहाँ पे अब कौन सा है फिर एक्शन रिएक्शन पेयर? मैं बोलूँगा बेटा यहाँ पे ध्यान रखो बेटा, concentrate here, concentrate here. The block will exert a force on the horizontal surface and the horizontal surface will in turn apply force on the block. That is action reaction pair and that's normal reaction. The force exerted on the block by the surface, MBS, on the block by the surface, and the force exerted on the surface by the block. These are of same nature. They are on two different objects. One force on the block, another force on the surface. Hence these two forces form action reaction pair. So I'm sure that this Newton's third law of motion will be crystal clear to you. Okay, we'll stop here. We'll be back with you with the Newton's laws of motion, application of Newton's laws of motion, and the topics from here on, they are mouth-watering, so stay tuned with me. Okay, so take care.